Tesla finally made a move that many investors have been asking for. Starting now, Tesla is offering a loan rate of less than 1% per year for all new Model Y finance orders in the US. This promotional rate applies for terms from 36 to 72 months for new vehicles, and orders must be placed before the end of this month. For example, before, for the long-range Model Y rear-wheel drive, you would pay $706 per month, but now you will only pay $600. So everything got $100 cheaper, and these numbers are before the $7,500 EV tax credit. And the interest rate seems to be fixed. If you apply the EV tax credit for the long-range Model Y, you will pay just $539, but the craziest part is the Model 3 long-range is gonna cost you $750 per month now. The Model 3 also doesn't get the new promotional financing rate. We're getting a Model Y for $500 a month. That's a crazy good deal. And if you agree, click the like button right now. The Model 3 not getting the tax credit is the thing that has the most negative impact on Q2 delivery, says Troy. The problem is expected to continue until mid-2025. Keep in mind though, if you lease a Model 3, you can still get the full $7,500 tax credit. The problem is, no one wants to lease Tesla vehicles. People want to buy them. Troy predicts that the deliveries are going to be much lower than the 466,000 units delivered in the last year's Q2, and it's all because of the tax credit issue. And Troy is guessing it's going to be closer to 400,000 deliveries. But with the Model Y now being so much more affordable compared to the Model 3, why would you want to buy a Model 3? I mean, the Model Y overall is a better car for the vast majority of people. James seems to actually be excited about this change. On the other hand, Gary Black says, I've been saying Tesla should buy down auto loan rates for at least a year instead of lowering prices. So now Tesla offers lower prices plus discounted loan rates. But do we know 100% that Tesla is buying down these interest rates? We don't have an official confirmation, but I think it's safe to assume that it is happening. Lower interest rates are especially preferred by people that already own Teslas, because then technically their Tesla vehicle is not worth less money. But if you just do a big price cut, yeah, your car immediately loses value. This could also work out for Tesla really well if interest rates start to go down overall. For example, in the US, it is expected that the interest rates a year from now roughly are going to go down by 1 full percent. It's not a guarantee, of course, but take a look at this and tell me what you see. What I see is interest rates basically never stay at the same rate unless they are already really low, like from 2009 and until 2015, and then from 2020 to 2022. Generally, you look at any other time and there's always movement, and it's in one direction. It's either up or it's down. For example, here, up, 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 and then down, 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 until it starts going up, 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 and then down. There's always movement. It just doesn't stay in one place. And the rates have been flat now for a little bit of time, so normally you would expect the rates to start going down. Another observation is, and this is not always the case, but you can sort of see that the rates come down sooner than they come up. It takes some time for the rates to come up, but going down is often fast. Sometimes the reason is because of the economy and the crisis, so it doesn't always mean that it's a great thing for the interest rates to come down, because it could imply that we are going through some tough economic times. But generally, it's a great thing for growth stocks like Tesla stock. Now, here are a few reasons why cutting the interest rate can be considered a better approach than just cutting the price. Number one, specifically in this case, it's a time-based incentive that has an expiration date, which creates urgency in the consumer psyche and will drive more sales, at least temporarily. Number two, it won't further precipitate the downward spiral of price cuts, leading to expectations of more price cuts, leading to even more price cuts, and then expectation of more price cuts, which lead to more price cuts. Number three, it won't negatively impact residual values, which won't negatively impact used Tesla prices, which won't further encourage consumers to simply buy a used Tesla and instead purchase new. It also won't reduce the value of Tesla-owned certified pre-owned vehicles, which will help Tesla's used car sales. Number four, it won't negatively impact brand equity. Price cuts reduce the perceived perceived value of the product. It won't reduce the value of Model Y fleet vehicles and repeat or perpetuate the disaster of what happened to Hertz, fleet sales support volumes, and pricing. Now, I think lower interest rates when purchasing a vehicle still will impact used car prices, just not as much as outright price cuts. And James finishes with, Tesla should have done this a year ago, quite frankly, especially given Elon's false but consistent position on interest rates. And now, if people actually found out about this promotion, it would be really great. Elon has not reposted that promotion yet, but he reposted this post. I took my first road trip in my Tesla using the latest FSD version. My car drove me 366 miles with 0 disengagements. I can confidently say FSD is the best technology I've ever experienced. James points out that the IRA moving from post-purchase to point of sale in January of this year was also a reduction in monthly payments, but didn't really move the needle in Q1. The move to offer a special financing rate on Model Y is a good one, but if awareness is low, the incremental volume they will gain from the investment will be small. This will be a good test. So if lowering interest rates for the buyers is such a good move, how come Tesla did not make this move before? It probably had to do with dropping used vehicle prices, exposing Tesla to resale financial risks as leased vehicles return. But now it appears used vehicle prices are near bottom or have bottomed already, making leasing much less risky down the road. And then additionally, the new financing offer applies to terms of at least 36 months in length, which means that the ultimate financial risk is nearly 3 years away, and by that time, the interest rates will be lower, at least based on what's likely to happen. And by the time these vehicles return from their lease, Tesla launched and ramped at least 2 new classes of higher volume vehicles, and Tesla's AI products are likely making a significant impact on Tesla's financials, de-risking any leasing risk, relatively to Tesla's business size. So it turns out that some of the people that stormed the Giga Berlin factory, many of them have been camping out near the factory for months. Reuters called them environmentalists, but no, these people are definitely not actual environmentalists. Guess who pays them? Certainly not themselves. These campaigners have been camped out in the woods since February. And Elon asks, I wonder who their puppet masters are. That's a reply to Omar. The far-left activist group known as Volcano Group claimed responsibility for all of what's happening. Elon commented on this, and I have experienced once something similar to this. I couldn't really quite replicate it, but I basically had a person who was controlling the traffic light, which was out, and he showed me don't go, and then he waved, and then the vehicle just started going, and it was on FSD. I didn't need to accelerate. I thought that was maybe just a complete fluke. I got lucky, but this person here, I don't think he got lucky. Elon says, yeah, I wouldn't count on this in 12.3 point versions, but 12.4 is a big improvement and 12.5 might nail it. So this basically confirms that Tesla vehicles actually sometimes can react to hand signals, just definitely don't count on them in the current versions, not yet. Someone says, I feel like every week is Christmas. My car gets better and better and better. Getting a good new FSD update is like getting a new car. It sort of feels like that to me. And I do have the newest FSD version now. I put this on 2X. I'm gonna be driving on it sometime this weekend or next week. I think the car did pretty well here in the parking lot. This car was coming out from the parking lot. You can see it in the rear view mirror, sort of. And it's a pretty tight space. Everything was pretty good here. And the feedback on the latest build of Tesla's FSD is universally positive. And the most common thing people are saying about it is something to the effect of, it feels human-like. It's also worth noting that the pace of improvement and cadence of new versions has increased. Not every user is reporting that though. Some say that the latest version is slightly worse for them than the version they had earlier. Omar is doing a poll. If you received the Tesla FSD free trial, did you or do you plan to stay subscribed after the trial period is over? And more people are saying I subscribed or plan to than I will not subscribe. Now keep in mind, people that follow Omar are going to be big fans of Tesla and therefore more likely to subscribe. Sawyer will have more neutral a Tesla fan base, but still they will be heavily pro Tesla. And his poll reveals slightly different results. More people are saying no, I will not subscribe than yes. Sawyer also got a lot more votes, 30,000 votes instead of over 5,000. But it's clearly a lot of people that are going to be subscribing. So if we had 1,000 people, it's going to be a lot more than just 100 people subscribing based on Sawyer's results. Because keep in mind, 61% of the people chose to see results. Because for example, I already have FSD purchased outright, so there's no point in me subscribing to FSD. In China, finally, the Model 3 Performance has been released, but the customer deliveries will only start in the third quarter. Roy points out that in Q4, Tesla sold 33,500 Model 3s in China and 32,000 in Q1 of this year. If Model 3 sales drop by 10,000 units, it's probably because the newly launched Xiaomi SU7 is affecting sales negatively. The two cars are very similar. And check this out. The theory that Tesla has been exporting a lot of Model 3s from China has been confirmed. This is the highest Giga Shanghai export month for the Model 3 in 18 months. So definitely expect a delivery wave this month for the Model 3 specifically. The newly launched Xiaomi SU7 sold more than the Model 3 in its first month on the market. April deliveries in China, 7,000 Xiaomi SU7s and 5,065 Model 3s. But now we know that most of these Model 3s have been exported, so this is not really a fair comparison. Not yet. We need more data. I suspect Troy made this comment before he saw the export numbers, but his conclusion in the meantime was Chinese buyers are looking for a luxurious interior with high quality materials, but Tesla continues to offer its plain and basic interior. However, even if he saw that number, his position probably would remain exactly the same. He says Tesla China had 11,200 Model 3s in inventory in China at the end of April waiting for buyers. Supply was not an issue. Seems though that Troy wants to see the whole quarter first and not just 1 month. Also, oftentimes when a new EV launches, the first month, of course, it does great and then sales just slow down. No one is interested anymore. And in 2 more months, we'll know if that's the case with this new Xiaomi SU7 vehicle. In the meantime, BYD is about to launch a Model Y competitor in China. This is certainly something to keep an eye on, and we'll see if that affects Tesla sales in China. Rivian is discounting its vehicles as well. Keep in mind, they are still losing tons of money for every vehicle sold. It's one thing to discount a vehicle if you are already making money and you have a way to lower your costs, but this is not helping Rivian. Okay, well, this is quite interesting. Ford named former Lucid CFO Sherry House as next finance chief. I'm wishing Ford the best, and I hope that their stock does not look like Lucid's later on. Ford has also begun cutting orders from battery suppliers. There's progress update on Semi-Nevada factory. Current status is side grading. Elon replied to this post, now apply this logic to Tesla. I remember everyone calling Netflix stupid for splitting off their DVD business and doubling down on streaming in 2011. But what if I want physical DVDs and streaming? Only having streaming will never be enough to satisfy all my movie needs. Must be more than a decade now since I last watched a movie on a DVD. So naturally, applying this logic to Tesla, Tesla is gonna start a streaming service. But I strongly disagree with that. I think that Tesla is going to stop renting DVDs. But in all seriousness, this of course is about Tesla going into the FSD and robotaxi business. Tesla outspends by over 1.5 times the next 4 largest charging network operators combined. Well, that's one reason why these chargers are often down and have big major problems. AJ says, I wondered a lot about why Elon opened Tesla Supercharger network to other automakers. I think I finally figured out why, and it's not what everyone is thinking. First, I thought it made strategic sense, but I thought it was a bit too early since no real charging competitor was emerging. After all, Tesla's charging infrastructure advantage provides a significant additional incentive to buy a Tesla over any other competitor. Stopping an emerging charging network competitor in its tracks would have made sense, but this did not apply. Hence, The premature opening tormented by my mind. Elon is too smart and I didn't buy the widespread. Elon is doing it for pushing Tesla's mission, since many automakers' EV programs turned out to be a slowing force to EV adoption due to poor ownership experience, etc. Elon did it since he sees the relevance of the current network decreasing over time as robotaxis penetrate the market. Robotaxis will be using a charging modality which will be different from the current supercharging infrastructure. Optimal locations and charger types will be different. It's likely that upcoming dedicated robotaxis will be using wireless charging. It also throws a curveball to anyone who wants to adopt early wireless charging. Without access to Tesla's charging network, any automaker would have been much more likely to adopt wireless charging. Now, adopting wireless charging would add incremental cost, since functionality enabling access to Tesla's charging network was still essential. For these reasons, it makes strategic sense to open the network now and not to wait. This way, more value can be extracted before the rise of robotaxis eats into the business. And finally, this doesn't mean that Tesla's traditional supercharger network won't grow anymore. I think it's something to certainly think about, but I don't know. With wireless charging, you will lose more power, and with lots of vehicles having to be charged, these small losses can accumulate over time to meaningful amounts. There could certainly be something to what AJ is saying, but another thing to think about is with wireless charging, the faster you charge, the bigger your losses are going to be. So while with slow charging, we can now already achieve pretty good efficiency, how about higher charging speeds? If you just do a quick Google search, you will see that often you will lose a lot of energy with wireless charging. Now, if you are charging your phone, you don't really care if you use 50% more electricity because it's basically nothing anyway. But keep in mind, even when you plug your vehicle into a supercharger with a cable, you still lose some electricity. But even if you lose, let's say, just 1% more or 2% more or 3% more with wireless charging, does it still make sense? If it really was just, let's say, 1% eventually, yeah, I think that would probably make sense. It's definitely something to keep an eye on, but I wouldn't count on the wireless technology that it will make so much more sense for Tesla to charge its robotaxis wirelessly instead of plugging them in. Oh, and check this out. This is good news. I already know of 2 people that have ordered a Model Y due to this new discounted loan rate. It was, however, only after I told them about it. Omar had an unusual experience. He used FSD's latest version to give a real rideshare ride, and the riders were blown away. But the navigation system froze and he had to take over at the end. So what happened was, you can see the car on FSD. So FSD is working fine. It's just the navigation. You can see that the car obviously is moving, but when you look at navigation, the car is not moving here. And if I skip forward a little bit, you can see that it's still stuck in there. And then Omar eventually tried to reset it. I don't think it quite worked. And then eventually he just took over. So FSD was working fine. It's only the navigation that basically stopped working for some period of time. Production lead at Tesla Energy left Tesla. He was one of the production leads at the Lathrop Megapack factory, and he was promoted within 5 months from associate to lead. I don't see a clear indication of whether he left the company or he was laid off. Overall, it's a very positive tone, so I wouldn't make a big deal of this, keeping in mind that Tesla is still cutting people. And just naturally, you will have some people choose to leave the company during that time. This has to be one of the weirdest theories I've ever heard from Tesla bears. Did Elon hire the protesters for an excuse to shut down Giga Berlin? We already knew a few days ago that Tesla is going to shut down on Fridays. The storming of Giga Berlin did not happen first and then Tesla shut down the factory. No, Tesla announced that it will shut down on Friday, and Thursday is a public holiday and most of Germany is not working on Friday anyway, so this has nothing to do with the shutdown. This is quite a conspiracy theory. And now, check out what Brad Gerstner said about Tesla recently. He manages billions of dollars and he has bought Tesla stock.
Tesla, which you revealed on our program the last time we spoke. What takes it from a quote unquote small position to something larger? What do you need to see from Elon and that company from here?
First, let me say, I think Elon's done an extraordinary job, and I think his advantage in AI and full self-driving relative to all the other manufacturers in the world is deeply underappreciated. I described FSD 12 as a chat GPT moment for self-driving. After 10 years of marginal improvements, we had a profound breakthrough around the imitation learning of FSD 12. I think that will be an incredibly valuable asset to the company. I don't think it's an asset that can be replicated by other OEMs in the United States. They simply lack the data. And this is data in, pixels in, and control plane out. So unless you have the data, you're going to have a very hard time catching Tesla in full self-driving. I don't think BYD is going to be able to, play in that game either. And I thought it was fascinating. At the moment that the United States is banning TikTok, that the Chinese government is providing permission to Tesla to do full self-driving in partnership with Baidu in China. It shows the resilience and the strength of the relationships that Elon Musk has in China and that Tesla has in China, and their own push toward AI. So I think, you can't think of the company as an auto company. You have to think of it as a technology company. Today, we think that it's, fully valued. It's been a volatile ride, but we think this may be one of the companies that can break through on energy, can break through on AI and FSD. And so we're paying very close attention, because if we start to see the adoption and the conversion on FSD that we think is possible, this will be a story like Apple and services, where services becomes an increasingly important part of their profit makeup.
Watch out, because the time is coming when eventually most analysts will sound like Brad Gerstner here, praising Tesla's FSD and calling Tesla's FSD software a ChatGPT moment. That's it for today's video. Make sure to click the like button so that we can make sure that there's no shadow ban on this channel. Here's another video from my other channel showing that it's only getting about half of the views it would normally get, because my videos are only shown to about 50% of the regular viewers in the first few days. And then after the first 3 days, it does push it out a little bit more, but because it's no longer news, it's old, no one's interested. So I appreciate everyone clicking the like button. That really helps. And going forward, I'm only publishing the full daily news videos on this channel, not on the old channel anymore. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, otherwise YouTube may stop showing you these videos completely. Subscribing sends YouTube a strong signal